You've tuned in to Political Decode. You see the poll. Democrats in tears as liberal media confronts them on refusing to admit defeat on illegal immigration. Let's roll the film.
Gang as a way to try to justify not giving him due process as if there is any justifiable reason to not giving somebody due process.
Yes, there is a justifiable reason. If you don't belong in this country, process belongs to those who pay taxes, who are U.S. citizens. You don't just get to cross over borders that's not doesn't belong to you. Say, hey, now I get rights. No, 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 no. It don't work that way.
But yeah, some people don't want to talk about that. It truly is baffling how clear and laid out everything is, and there is still people standing by it. I believe in the good of people and like humanity, humans, deep down at our core, like we care about each other. But that's really being tested because how anyone is okay with this is terrifying to me. But yeah, if you look like me, speak up, speak out, because we might be the only ones safe from what's coming and some of the only people that are able to stop it. So,
I didn't get that. If you look like me, a white liberal woman, is there something I'm missing here? Please let me know if she's insinuating something else in the comments. Oh yeah, and while I got you here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can receive more content like this.
yeah, it's our duty at this point.
Boy, 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 boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the Democrat Party and how they become a complete and total embarrassment to this country. Okay, it was hard for me to imagine the Democrat Party humiliating themselves more so than they already have over the past 3 to 4 months. But boy, they just continue to dig themselves in a deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper hole, mainly because of their Trump derangement. Okay, their Trump derangement causes them to take sides in an issue that they probably should not take. Right? It causes them to stand against the American people no matter what, right? Even though it is a situation where it's like, hey, Democrats, maybe you should just sit this one out. Maybe boo-hoo whining and crying about an illegal immigrant, alleged gang member, white beating human trafficker being deported to El Salvador, maybe crying about that guy and going across the globe, right? Flying across the globe to rescue him from a maximum security prison. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe that's not what you want to be showing the American people, that this is what you care about. But no, Democrat senators like Chris Van Hollen, he went all the way over to El Salvador to see an illegal immigrant and to try to bring him back, okay? But he came back empty-handed. And then you have Democrats like, for example, ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett going on.
Ghetto Congresswoman. Look, I got to hear him say that again.
Over to El Salvador to see an illegal immigrant and to try to bring him back, okay? But he came back empty-handed. And then you have Democrats like, for example, ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett going on MSNBC and boohoo whining and crying while discussing the fact that this illegal immigrant gang member is locked up in El Salvador, and Nayib Bukele and President Trump basically refused to bring him back. Take a look.
Nayib Bukele saying he's going to remain in the custody of El Salvador. We need to see more action, though, from people kind of emulating what we saw from Senator Van Hollen, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first of all, kudos to Senator Van Hollen. And honestly, that's what it looks like to be an elected representative. He represents Maryland. This is someone who is a Maryland resident, and he decided that he was going to go down there and check on him. And honestly, I don't know that I was convinced that he was alive. I really don't. So listen, I don't want to hear anything from the Republican Party about how they're trying to keep us safe when their fearless leader is actually the biggest criminal thus far that we have seen, because I haven't seen anybody with a rap sheet that looks like the president's.
So
A rap sheet that possibly was manufactured by a Democrats who were in power in certain judges, liberal judges. And yeah, we say that Putin Kim Jong-un, North Korea have a dictatorship and propaganda media, but we got that here too in the U.S. You know,
So I want to exercise a point of personal privilege right now. I'm going to play a really quick clip for you, Congresswoman, and ask you a question on the other side. Take a watch and listen. My next guest. Joining me now is Texas State Representative Jasmine Crockett. Representative, so happy to have you here. I know you had a busy day yesterday. Well, Texas State Representative Jasmine Crockett, thank you for being here and thanks for all of your advocacy. We appreciate it.
you heard that? Let's see if you catch what she said.
Representative, so happy to have you here. I know you had a busy day yesterday. Well, Texas State Representative Jasmine Crockett, thank you for being here and thanks for all of your advocacy. We appreciate it.
This is why you've tuned in to Political Decode. Let me decode this for a second. You heard what she said. Thank you for all your advocacy. Advocacy. At this point, the Democrat Party is nothing more than an advocation group, a group that are a bunch of activists who have no plans for even their own citizens, their own constituents, people who vote for them. That's not what they want to do. They want to say, he bad, he orange, he Republican, he white. You know the routine.
Okay, that was you and I 3 years ago. That was your first time on the Katie Fang Show. This is the second to the last episode of the show. Congresswoman, I wanted to thank you for always getting up and early and delivering it, but I also want to say thank you for your continuing support for democracy. It's definitely something that you have made your brand, and it's the integrity that you're bringing, and I'm grateful for you always.
We'll miss you.
Oh. You can't have me crying at the beginning of a show, Jasmine. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, you haven't seen the last of me. Thank you for being here and getting us started today. I always appreciate you.
Yeah, so as you can see, the propaganda for the Democrats is getting into cringe levels. They're crying on national television. Now, was Jasmine Crockett crying about Katie Fang losing her show, or was she crying about the illegal immigrant? I don't really know. I'm just saying they're crying on national television, and she was literally just talking about how the illegal immigrant needs to come back. So just not a good look, right? Just probably not a good look to be crying on national television when, discussing a topic like that. But regardless, Democrats are, again, they're hell-bent on doubling and tripling down on this as their propaganda falls apart. Okay, the propaganda is falling apart. And one of the core pieces of propaganda that is falling apart beautifully, okay, is this idea that the illegal immigrant is not a gang member, right? The liberal media says he's not a gang member. There's no evidence whatsoever he's a gang member. Now,
I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I think he has the MS-13 tattoo on him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he does.
Now, remember, these are the same people who claimed that Pete Hegseth and his tattoos are evidence and proof that he is a white nationalist, right? That is what the media, okay, that's what the media said, okay, and the Democrat Party, okay? We all remember this. They were saying that Pete Hegseth, because of his tattoos, is a white nationalist, even though his tattoos are Christian tattoos, right? But for whatever reason, when you have an illegal immigrant who has tattoos that obviously are gang affiliated, oh, well, that's not proof in it.
Let's see, is that an MS-13? There was a guy on here yesterday who said, if you see an MS-13 member with a MS-13 tattoo, they have to have put in work, meaning they have to have been seen killing someone first in order to get the tattoo by the gang. So, I mean, maybe we should be fighting to keep them in our country. I don't know, the liberal way of thinking.
Evidence, right? That's not evidence that he's a gang member. You guys see how this stuff works, okay? But President Trump posted a picture of these tattoos that the illegal immigrant has on his hands. And the mainstream liberal media is now saying, well, who cares, right? Who cares if he's a gang member? That's not what this is really about.
One thing that we've heard from the legal team and against this allegation from the White House is about his history. I know that you've said he doesn't have a criminal history, that he had never been arrested for anything before. People at the White House have pointed out to me, they say that doesn't mean that he wasn't a member of MS-13. There's not always criminal activity on someone's record if they are in a gang. And I want to show you something that the president posted tonight. It's a photo of what he says is your client's left hand. You can see his knuckles there, and the president is showing these tattoos that the White House alleges reveals that he's a member of MS-13. I should note the photo.
Let's see, MS-13. Yeah, seems pretty simple to me.
Photo's been doctored because the actual MS-13 that you see at the top, that's not actually a tattoo. That's what they're saying the tattoos portray. What is your reaction to this photo?
If you want to drop your auto insurance rate, then don't skip this video.
My reaction is this is just a continuation of the distraction. This case is not about whether Mr. Obrego Garcia is good or bad, whether he is or isn't in MS-13, whether he should.
What the hell is she talking about? It doesn't matter if he's good or bad, if he should or shouldn't be deported. Yes, it all matters because one, he's illegal in the country. The other judge have already declared him illegal. I believe the other judge had declared that he just cannot be deported to El Salvador, right? Because of his gang ties, whatever. So that's where the Trump administration may have made a mistake. So the guy may be coming back to the country, but then re-deported to another country. But the hills the Democrats are willing to fight and die on is just mind-boggling to me.
Be able to remain for the rest of his life in the U.S. or not. This case is about the simple fact that he was removed without due process, and if it can happen to him and the government pushes back at every turn, despite 3 different courts ordering them to.
Again, this is why the Democrats continue to lose. They're fighting for due process for people who are here illegally. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't pay taxes into our system, so you're not entitled to anything that our system has to offer, like due process.
Return him, then who's next?
I am loving this timeline. I really am. Every single time the propaganda falls apart. And you know the most hilarious part about this? Kaylin Collins. Again, this is how you know the liberal media is straight propaganda, right? It's just straight propaganda. They say, well, the photo that President Trump posted is doctored. But it, like, clearly, yes, like, there is Photoshop being used to explain to people what they're looking at, right? So people understand what the symbols mean, okay? So yes, the photo is Photoshopped, but that doesn't mean that the tattoos aren't real, okay? But again, that's what the media tries to do, right? They try to play these tricks with their audience where they say things in order to discredit the president when the president is 100% right, right? Like, these are the tattoos, okay? And the president was explaining what the tattoos mean. Those tattoos are there. I mean, the dude clearly is a gang member, right? He's a part of MS-13. It is what it is, okay? So, again, now that they have to acknowledge that this is, in fact, real, again, they say, well, again, who cares? Doesn't matter if he's good or bad, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we allow bad illegal immigrants to stay in this country, right? Doesn't matter if they are participating in gang activities, okay? Doesn't matter. It's about their constitutional rights. It's about their due process. And these idiots really believe that that is going to work. That is going to work with the American people, okay? It's just not going to work, okay? And poll after poll has shown that the American people side with President Trump when it comes to this issue of illegal immigration and mass deportations.
Interesting. What about the White House policy of deporting immigrants that are here illegally? Yeah, okay, so let's sort of dive sort of a little bit more into the specifics, right? So this is a great question. Deport all undocumented immigrants. That is voters favoring a government effort to deport all 11 million. Look at where we are now in 2025. 56%, the majority of voters agree with this.
You know what's sad is the people who actually disagree with deporting illegal immigrants, which shouldn't even be a discussion or topic. They they are pretty much the ones that the illegal immigrants affect. Poor minority communities. Yes, they're coming in your communities. You say, oh well, they're taking jobs that we won't do anyway because you're so poor. Hey, you got better things to do than to get a job, right? But what about that manager role or that construction job at the top that pays good money or any of the good jobs? What do you think when they get on their feet in this country 5, 10 years? You think they're just gonna stay at the bottom? No, they're gonna work their way up and work their way up into jobs that you as Americans should and could be getting, but you're not gonna be getting them. You're gonna be competing with them. Does that make any sense? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
Policy supported, just 43% opposed. That is a massive rise from where we were in 2016 when, of course, Donald Trump was running for the Republican nomination the first time around when it was just 38%. The American public is much more so on Donald Trump's side now than back when he was running the first time around. Now, of course, this is the public at large, right? Let's dive a little bit more into the crosstabs, and this should give you a very interesting look at where the public is, all right? Deport more immigrants here illegally. Well, not much of a surprise, Jake. 90% of Republicans agree with that. But look in the middle of the electorate. Look here. We get 61% of independents agreeing with it, the clear majority. And how about among Democrats? Even there, you get about a third of Democrats agreeing with the idea that we should deport more immigrants who are here illegally. So, yes, there is some specific issue polling which might not necessarily look great for Donald Trump. But when you look specifically at immigration, and you dive into the crosstabs, and you look at Democrats, independents, and Republicans, it's not much of a surprise that at this particular point in time, it is slight, but still the plurality of Americans give Donald Trump the thumbs up on immigration, which is very much unlike what we see with his policies at large and certainly on the economy, Jay.
And look at that number with independents, because that's really important. That's how you win an election. Is
you
getting
got that right.
The support
you got
of
it, my
independents.
friend.
All right.
You got it.
And this is why you have the mainstream liberal media outlets like MSNBC. They're now in desperation mode, right? Because now this is what they're saying. They're saying, okay, you need to worry about the illegal immigrant. You need to worry about him because he's going to come for black people, right? If he can deport illegal immigrants to El Salvador, then he can also deport black people and others.
That's so funny.
That's what they're saying. Take a look.
Congressman Ivey, thank you for being here. There is, I've been talking about this all week, but Janae Nelson of the NAACP.
Wait, is that Joy Reid? Tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't Joy Reid get fired? Let me know in the comment section. That sure looks like Joy Reid. I mean, bald-headed and
Legal Defense Fund. She penned an op-ed in The Nation this week, and her op-ed talked about that we think that democracies are. The way they die is dramatically through these wars and blood is shed, and it's cinematic in a sense. But really, the realistic way in which democracies die is that it's dismantled brick by brick, piece by piece. And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me,
the canaries in coal mine gas. Like, what script is she reading from? What the hell is she talking about?
that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75.
Look, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me so I can give you more content like this, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime something like this pops up. Let's continue to roll the film.
percent of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records. That is why this is so important, because if they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. And to be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
I think that's right, and that's certainly part of why the African-American community is so strongly behind the supporting Killmonger.
Yeah, we're like, we are not for this.
Yeah, because as you just said, if they're going to whisk them away, what are they going to do with us?
Really? Black folks, do y'all ever get tired of Democrats and liberals trying to compare the plight of black people to other communities, right? First, they were saying that black people and trans people are basically the same, right? They use black people to push the trans agenda. And now they're using black people to push the illegal immigrant agenda. Does it ever stop? Does it ever stop? Does the disrespect ever stop? And will black folks finally say enough is enough of these Democrats using us to push the...
Look, I think they already have black Americans have in the last poll. I think they've shown they've had enough with Democrat BS. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do on Political Decode PD podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. This is the Political Podcast, Political Decode Podcast, and I'm out.